Hello friends, very good morning. How are you doing? It's a Wednesday and it's about 8 in the morning, the time I leave for office or work, and nothing special about this day. It's a very ordinary day. But wait, it may not be very ordinary after all, because my office happens to be about 21 kilometers away from my home, and I undertake that journey on a weekday on my Scrambler 400X. Yes, that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. My everyday journey from my home to work, which is about 21 kilometers on my Scrambler 400X. Here you go.
In about 3 months that I could lay my hands on my Scrambler 400X, and my office, as I was saying, happens to be about 21 kilometers from my home, and you know the kind of traffic that we have to face in a city like Bangalore, Mumbai, or for that matter any big Indian metropolitan city. It's almost the same everywhere. So one option is, of course, I can drive down, but being a biker and being fond of these wonders on two wheels, I always prefer taking my two-wheeled commute rather than my four-wheeled one. And a lot of times people ask me, why do you take such risk? Yes, I know there are risks that are inherent, but there are also pleasures that are inherent to commuting to office every day. I have spoken in one of my vlogs about the advantages of riding a motorcycle. If you can ride the way you should ride it. But today that's not the point of discussion. Today my point of discussion is, how is it living with the Triumph Scrambler 400X on a day-to-day basis in your city life? Because we must understand, end of the day, that you get to experience a lot of different terrains in the city. Right now, if you see the terrain that I'm passing, it's full of potholes. So the rainy season is just about over, not yet over, and some of the places have become ridden with a lot of potholes currently. Traffic is really nasty at this time of the day. It's a Wednesday midweek, and that's the worst part of the day, worst part of the week actually. Wednesdays and Thursdays when you get most amount of traffic. Let's see how it works out to be as we proceed closer to the office. But we buy these motorcycles and we feel that if we are buying a 400cc motorcycle, probably we will do some kind of an off-road, we will do some kind of a highway travel, we will do long distance journeys, etc, etc. Yes, we do all that. But more than that, most often what we do is what I am doing just now. We take out the motorcycle in the morning, start it off and head towards work or head back from work. That's what we are using it for 90% of the time. And if that is the usage case, then it's very important how the motorcycle behaves in the city traffic, in your everyday living conditions. So that's my point of discussion today. So as you can see as of now, so this is a high revving engine, the Scrambler. Let me tell you, it's not a slow revving engine like the Royal Enfields, the 4-stroke engines like the REs, and or the recently launched Harley-Davidson X440. So it's a high revving engine, it's a short stroke engine, and it's kind of an eager engine. So it will urge you to kind of roll on the throttle and increase your pace. But at the same time, it's a very tractable engine. So what's the advantage of a tractable engine is that, see right now, I'll tell you, I am at less than 2000 RPM at second gear. If I wish to pick up pace, I can just roll on to the third gear and still remain at 2000 RPM. My speed is still 20 km per hour. Can you imagine? 20 km per hour, 2000 RPM, third gear, and I'm still okay. I can still roll on the throttle and pick up pace whenever I want to. And then you will face a situation like this where you are kind of stuck in traffic. You can see the situation right now. I have to kind of navigate my way and find small gaps through which my motorcycle needs to pass. Look at this. I think you will need a scooter or an Activa to pass through this, but your motorcycle can also do it. It's not that it will give up. So that's the advantage of having a nimble motorcycle, and that's where the Scrambler 400X or the Speed 400 scores a lot. Maybe the Scrambler a tad less, but both of them score very well in such kind of situations. So if there are small gaps, you can actually squeeze through, because unlike my previous motorcycle, which was the BMW G310 GS, it used to occupy a lot of space. You need a lot of real estate to maneuver the vehicle. I'm not talking about the turning radius here. I'm talking about the small gaps through which you could filter. Right now you see, so there is a truck, there is a lamppost, and you have to kind of filter between the crevasses and find a gap ahead. Imagine what would have happened right now had I been traveling on my four-wheeler. I would have been stuck at the end of the road or at the beginning of the road, and at least I would have saved nothing less than 15 minutes by virtue of being able to squeeze through the gaps on my motorcycle. So that's the only reason, probably not the only reason, one of the reasons why I prefer to always take my motorcycle despite the inherent risks that are involved during my everyday commute to work. So you can see there is absolutely no way we can surge ahead. So my current speed is about 5 km per hour, 5 to 6 km per hour. I am on the second gear. I am lightly holding on to the clutch, but no problem, the bike is not complaining. And then suddenly I find a gap, I pick up pace, I go to the fourth gear, I'm still below 2000 rpm, and the bike is not stalling. This is amazing. And this is the kind of rideability that I am talking about, which you need on your motorcycle. So I don't think I'll be exaggerating if I say this is probably one of the best motorcycles you can have for everyday city commutes, if that is what you have on your mind, or if that is what you do on an everyday basis. And then you will suddenly come across these potholes or these undulations which are unpredictable. Because if you see this pothole, now let me tell you what is the advantage of the Scrambler over the Speed 400. Both of them have similar kind of engines, but why I would still prefer the Scrambler over the Speed 400 in city commutes? Let me come to the point. Two reasons. One, I showed you just now, when you face a sudden pothole and you have to you don't have an option to go or bypass it, you just fall bang into it, you are much better off with the Scrambler, because it's got a 150 mm suspension travel at both ends, 195 mm of ground clearance, and that's reasonably good ground clearance and suspension travel to see you through all the potholes in the city. And in the Speed, your ground clearance and suspension travel both are relatively less, and you have relatively lesser leeway in terms of negotiating or in terms of being comfortable on those potholes. That's one reason. And the other reason is this right now, what I'm saying, and that's the tractability of the motor. So the Speed has a different gearing. Both of them have the same engine, has a different gearing, but the Scrambler has one tooth less on the front sprocket. This changes the drive ratio in favor of being more tractable. Right now I fell into a large pothole and no problem. My back was absolutely perfect. No, it did not complain at all. And this can only be achieved on the Scrambler and not the Speed or many other motorcycles that people use. Can you not commute to work on other motorcycles? Yes, you can do, not a problem at all. But there's a difference between the comfort which each motorcycle will lend you during your everyday commute, and that is where I'm coming from. Even the BMW was fantastic when it came to negotiating the potholes, but then it scored less. At least I would give it as a lower scoring compared to the Scrambler on two counts. One is the engine tractability. It was not as tractable as the Scrambler. Of course, it was more tractable than the KTM's, the ADVs, but it was not as tractable as the Scrambler at lower RPMs. And the second, it had a relatively bulkier feel, which is not great for negotiating traffic in situations like this. You see the situation in front, There are bikes, cars, trucks everywhere, literally everywhere, on every side, and you have to kind of find a small gap or a small opening through which you have to pass your vehicle. See, there are two trucks which are trying to negotiate their way, and it's absolutely chaotic. I don't know if you are someone who is watching this video from somewhere outside the country, but I think you are able to have a taste of Indian traffic in a metropolis like Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, whatever. So this is the experience you will have. So in case you are also wishing to negotiate the city traffic on a motorcycle that will allow you the maximum amount of flexibility, I would heavily recommend the Scrambler 400X. Chaotic, isn't it? Sometimes you will get as much space as a person will need to just walk through rather than go on your bike. That's all the space you will get. And sometimes you will kind of do all sorts of acrobatics over potholes, over rocks, over boulders, and sometimes also people travel over the footpaths. But don't worry, if you're on the Scrambler, you are in safe hands, and it will see you through in all these kind of situations. Right turn, and a very narrow right turn, and you can see the amount of chaos that is there in this right turn. This is something that I face every day, and you will face situations like this on your ride to wherever you are going to in the city that you live in. And you can see there are bikes coming from the other side. There are cars which are trying to squeeze them in between the bikes, in between the trucks, in between the cars, in between the autos, and this is nothing short of an utter chaos. And that's when your bike needs something called nimbleness, and it needs something called good pickup, good low end grunt, because that's what you will need in order to, get past or get ahead of the traffic that is kind of trying to squeeze you from every front, from every side, because a good low end grunt will help you in doing that, and you need the bike to be nimble. See the way it turned. I could never have turned my GS like this. So these are situations which you do not realize when you look at a bike very superficially while you are making a purchase decision. Normally what we do when we make a purchase decision, we go to the showroom and ask for a test ride. We do a test ride for 10 minutes, 15 minutes inside the city. We do not see how it is to live with the bike in real life conditions. And we do not test the highway, we do not test the rideability, the tractability, we do not test the ability to glide over potholes. So these are the things you will never realize by taking a test ride of a bike just for 10 or 15 minutes. Yes, you need an extensive test ride for a couple of days over different terrain, in different riding conditions, which is very difficult to get for someone like us who is trying to make a purchase decision. Therefore, it is important that you look at the videos on YouTube, you look at the reviews, but take everything with a pinch of salt. Add your judgment to it, what I would say. Do not make a judgment looking at a single video. Look at different kind of reviews on YouTube. It will help you come to a rational conclusion and the right conclusion, because each of us are different. Each of us have a different requirement for which we buy a bike. We have different build, we have different strengths in terms of physical strengths. Our core strength is quite different. A person will be able to handle a 240 kilo bike, will be able to handle something of lower weight category, but not the other way around. For me, I would prefer my bikes to be remaining below the 200 kilo mark. That is why I didn't choose some of the bikes which I had seen when I was scouting for the Scrambler. Weight, not weight alone, it's also weight management on the bike. For example, if I have to compare this with the Royal Enfield Himalayan, it's just about 10 kilos bigger than this. But if you ride in a situation that I was riding in today, you will find extremely uncomfortable on the Himalayan. Not because the amount of weight, additional weight it carries, but because of the way the weight is distributed. It's top heavy, and it's difficult to negotiate traffic on the Himalayan chock-a-block traffic I'm talking about, not mild and moderate traffic. But in a situation like this, there is no difference. Where I've got open stretch of road in front of me and I'm just picking up pace, I think the Scrambler and the Himalayan both are equally good. They are equally grumpy and they are equally smooth and have got a very good suspension. Yes, someone will tell you Himalayan has got a better suspension, this and that, but those are just very marginal difference. It would not make a difference in a day-to-day living conditions. In fact, I will tell you, I like the Scrambler suspension more than my GS, because my GS used to have a very soft suspension, and because of the soft suspension it used to be a little wallowy in certain situations. Look at the potholes over here. It's nothing short of a off-road condition inside the city. My GS used to kind of not bottom out, but if your suspension is a little stiff, you will feel a little more comfortable or confident, gliding over potholes. But there is one problem I have to acknowledge about the Scrambler. Now it has been existing, it is there on different forums, and this is about the speed in the Scrambler 4, Scrambler both. So people have been discussing about the stalling problem. Just now you saw, I faced the situation. It stalled a little bit and it doesn't start immediately. So it's not a nice situation. So if you are kind of letting go on the clutch too much, the bike might stall, and it still exists. It doesn't happen very often and I've learned to live with it. But that's something I think Triumph needs to work on. That is kind of a chink in the armor of the Triumph Scrambler and the Speed 400. I don't know, I haven't done a ECU update. I might have to go for it. Some say that the problem gets solved with that. I finished my first servicing, but mine is a recent model. I was hoping that in the recent models this problem will get corrected, but it still exists. So nothing is without a flaw. Nothing is flawless. So my ride to work on the Scrambler is also not flawless, as you just saw. There are chinks in the armor, which I spoke about just now, and there are issues which you have to live with. But then it is up to you. What is the issue you are ready to ignore, and what is the issue you cannot ignore? That's your personal decision. And then you will come across situations like this when you will find that there is an open road in front of you and the road is allowing you to pick up pace. Not because you are doing some kind of a traffic signal MotoGP, but because you are already late for work and you need to travel fast and reach your office quick. So with a fantastic pickup, very good low end grunt, and one of the best 0 to 100 timings, the Scrambler will allow you to reach ahead of most of the people around you. If you are a good rider, I am not asking you to do that. Don't practice racing inside the city. Not a safe thing to do. Wear all your riding gears. Right now I am just with my helmet and my riding gloves. Ideally you should also have the lower body gears and the upper body gears, but anyways, that's for another day when I will be discussing riding gears. But look at this situation. You have an open road in front of you. Everybody is picking up pace and you can easily outdo everybody. You just need to be in the right gear. You don't also need to be in the right gear. Even if you're on the 6th gear, I am on the 6th gear, the top gear right now, and I am at about 60 km per hour. I need to pick up pace. Just a twist of the throttle and it picks up space. For any other bike of similar format, you will probably have to drop 1 or 2 gears and you will waste time in doing that. See, that's a ADV 390 in front of you. I am on the 4th gear. Not a problem. On the Scrambler, you are always a winner. Okay? I'm talking about being a winner in terms of enjoying your ride to the office, not being a winner in terms of, winning a race. So that's the reason I would highly recommend the Scrambler 400X for your everyday ride to work, or to the nearby shopping mall, or to the nearby destination you wish to go to. And that's Royal Enfield Hunter. That's also a very good bike, very nimble, Decent low end grunt. Of course, it lacks a little bit of top end, but that's not what we are testing today. So for city commutes, even the Hunter would make a very good choice, because it needs to be nimble, it needs to be quick, which the Hunter is. Only place where probably it will get overshadowed by the Scrambler is the rideability over potholes and over bad roads in the city, which is not a rarity inside the city, Indian cities, Those are situations you come across very often, especially after the rainy season. Plus, I'm about to reach in another 5 minutes. It seems also well laid out and well planned, isn't it? Some of the business districts in Bangalore is really out of the world. This really feels world class. You come inside, right through smooth tarmac, well laid out graphics on the road, beautiful green tree plantations, very different from the chaotic situation through which we came to this place. Who would say that both the places exist in the same city? So where there is a will and where there is a money, there is a way. It's not even the money, I think it's about the will. If we have the will, I think all of us, citizens, politicians, bureaucrats, everyone together, make the entire city of Bangalore something like this, something like a tech park where I work. But anyways, that brings us to the end of the video, and that was a short ride review or ride experience of my everyday commute to work on my Scrambler 400X. If I have motivated you to go for this lovely vehicle.
So if you did happen to like the video, do not forget to hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up.